WSOU 89.5. I'm Valentino.
And I'm Catherine.
And we're here with Joe from Gojira today. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. Now, Joe, are you in New York right now? Or are you in France? Where's the band at?
Right now, the band is in France. I am in France right now, as you can see. Very French. This is the house I grew up in. I was visiting my dad a year ago in March 2020 when everything went down, so planes got grounded, all the plans changed for the band, all the shows got canceled and everything. So I subletted my apartment in New York, and I decided to stick around to be with the band, in this critical time. We're releasing an album. We have so much going on. So it was more convenient to be all together somewhere. So yeah, and I'm returning to New York if everything is doing good in July.
So I have to ask, a year without shows, how are you feeling? Are you itching to get back out on the road again?
I'm starting to itch a little, yeah. But at first I have to say I was really glad to be home with my kids and my wife. That didn't happen, since I met my wife 10 years ago. She's used to say goodbye to me every summer, at least. Every summer there's festivals, summer festivals. So I always disappear for the whole summer, basically. Since my kids were born, they're like, okay, I have a dad, but in the summer I don't have a dad. I just have a tired dad for 2 weeks here and 3 weeks there. So for that, I have to say, even though for our business, it's really terrible what's happening, and it's hard because we don't sell records. We make money on the road, as you probably know. But being with the kids is priceless, before they leave home. And it had to be like at least a global pandemic for me to not go on the road. You know what I mean? So yeah, for that I'm pretty thankful.
Right. And speaking of on the road, you guys are supposed to support the Deftones in August. Are you guys still doing that? Might they postpone it again?
There's a 50% chance for that to happen, so a few months ago I'm like, no, this is not happening. And now people are like, you know what, vaccines are working, it's going pretty fast and stuff. So it's not impossible for that to happen. Fingers crossed, because I love Deftones, their music and the guys in the band. So it would be a blast to finally do that tour that got canceled already last year. And yeah, we'll see.
And again, that tour in support of the new record, Fortitude, out April 30th. Really, really exciting stuff. How does it feel to have that release date so close?
I'm shaking with anticipation. It's a funny thing that we do that music for us in the first place. Since we're kids, we just have one ambition, is to write killer songs and to be able to master these songs in front of people and stuff. And I'm already very happy with this album. It's been so much work and dedication and energy and good vibes too in the studio. It was awesome to record it. But now for some reason I need to share it with the world. And we've been sitting on it for a whole year. So yeah, I'm really pretty excited to finally, I want to say almost being able to move on with my life. It's this weird thing that's it's right there. It's stuck. It needs to come out. So yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah, and speaking of that excitement, when you guys were recording that album, was there a track on the album for you that you personally really enjoyed, either the writing process or the recording process? Was there a song that stood out to you that you really enjoyed writing?
There's this one song on the album called the Chant. And it's more like a rock sort of vibe, stoner rock, weird. It's hard to explain, but this one was a bit unusual for Gojira, and the pattern, there's something very repetitive and simplicity to it that felt really, really good to record and find some cool arrangements and do a real vocal performance. And I even recorded a guitar solo, which is something I'd never do. So it's you know, it's it could be played by the 8-year-old, but you know, it's very simple. But simplicity is a challenge, especially when you come from, you know, technical death metal. I've been playing that since I'm, you know, 15 years old, and trying to be complicated and dissonant and surprise people at every note, you know. But recording a simple song, writing a simple song with just a few notes, and it is sort of a, you know, an anthem or something that stands out, is a different thing. And so it was really interesting to record that song for that. It was something new for us, something fresh, and it keeps us on our toes, it keeps us interested, and really happy with the result too.
And especially with a band like Gojira, where you guys have these 6-minute songs, 7-minute songs, you know, 8-minute songs that are like super crazy, and you've been doing that for a while. So it's going to get to a point where writing a simple song and like just like, you know, making it as simple as you can make it is more challenging than writing a complex song.
Yeah, in a way, when you write a complex long song, you can have a riff that is, you know, sort of in between, that prepares you to another riff. You can build up, you can take more time to make things happen, and by repetition you can get people to, you know, build something with their imagination, you know, and stuff. There's more room for, it's more forgiving somehow when it's long. Or okay, I'm not crazy about that part, but wait, this other cool part's coming, you know what I mean? Like but when you do a 4-minute song, or you know, something a little shorter, everything has to be really essential, you know. So in that sense, yeah, it's a different discipline.
Right. And then transitioning now a little bit more to the recent single that just dropped today, Into the Storm.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of themes of awakening, but what are you trying to get across in that song? What's the message you want to send to Gojira fans with that song?
You know, I like to think that it's simple enough that if you read the lyrics, you really get the vibe. Something very straightforward. You really wake up, stand up, you know, stand for what you believe in. Put your fist in the air. It's a protest. It's a protest song. It's a wake up song. It's a song for anybody who's kind of stuck in between two stages in life and needs to move on. It's a song that will, you know, push people to speak their minds, and if they really believe in something, go for it. Kind of song. There's this overall theme of civil disobedience, which I think is a very interesting concept, that disobeying is essential in our society, in a peaceful way, of course. You know, I don't want to incite a riot. I don't want to tell people to burn stuff in the street or whatever. But I think if something is unfair in our society, it's our responsibility, it's our duty as citizens to point it out and to speak up. And that's how, you know, we abolished slavery, or that's how, you know, women got to vote, and all these things, you know. And personally, I'm very shocked by the way we treat animals in this world, and that's why I'm a vegan. Even though I was raised on meat and everything, but one day I had a revelation, an epiphany, if you will. Oh my God, yeah, I cannot be part of this industry that creates all this misery. So that kind of stuff.
It's super interesting to hear you say that again. I recently actually talked to Sam Carter from Architects, and we just kind of like also had very similar stories about this. Is I am in the process of going vegan now. I've been vegetarian for a few years now, and a lot of people just think that the meat industry just affects the animals and the animals that are being hurt, but it's the environment too. There's so much more to it, and so it's super interesting to again hear you say that the meat industry is we're all on the same page here. The meat industry really has its hands and feet in all sorts of and things.
It's an absolute nightmare
Yeah.
from A to Z. This whole industry is a nightmare. And the milk industry, if you look into it, you know, it's super easy nowadays to get informed and to educate ourselves. And there's even stuff out there on the internet that, you know, governments or institutions don't want you to see. But it's so big. It's the elephant in the room. There's nothing that can hide the atrocity that's happening in the meat industry, in the milk industry, and the egg industry. I think it's really worth, digging a little bit. There's plenty of awesome documentaries, and really think for yourself, because we cannot just be products. We cannot be just buying stuff because we are told to do so. We need to think for ourselves. Basically, that's one important message in this album, and in this song, especially Into the Storm.
And again, if you look throughout the track list, a lot of your lyrics in previous records, and especially this one, deal with the environment and how the environment is being destroyed and burned, all this sort of stuff. You have Amazonia, Another World, Into the Storm is stand up for what you believe in. I'm sure 2020 and 2021, there's been no shortage of environmental crises to see and witness, and a lot of heinous things that have happened to the world. How have you been? Obviously, the band is very outspoken and very activist. How do you guys, you've been doing that?
Yeah, I feel humanity is kind of asleep a little bit. We're all trying to be comfortable, all trying to cope with our little problems, and we're all trying to look good on Instagram and so on, and we have our little problems, but there's more important things happening. It's like we're all in the boat, and there's a huge hole, in the bottom of the boat, and the water's coming in, and we're all staring at our phones. All we're doing is like, hey, shouldn't we do something about that? Because we're all in the same boat, and we're about to go down if we don't wake up.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we talked a little bit about Project Amazonia, and you guys have a massive auction going on. You've got members of Tool, Mastodon, Deftones. They've all donated things to go to this auction. And I got to ask, did those artists reach out to you guys directly, or did you guys reach out to them? Are they also involved in this?
Yeah, we organized the whole thing. First of all, we wrote that song because we felt really bad about what's happening in the Amazon forest. It was very impressive to see the flames going. I wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but I knew, I knew enough to put things together and understand that there was some political things involved. And I've done my research. I've done some research, and I called some friends that are activists and really, really involved in the Amazon problem, and they introduced me to some of the leaders of Amazonian tribes, and we decided to be a bridge between our societies, very wealthy societies, and we're all struggling, by the way, of course, but we are all the clients of the products of what's being grown in the Amazon and raised in the Amazon, the cattle, the meat industry again. By the way, COVID-19 came because of meat consumption too, like every other pandemic on the planet that ever happened. It was because of the way we treat animals, the way we eat animals and stuff. So yeah, the Amazon forest is a big thing. We got in touch with indigenous people and listened to them, and they said, okay, this is what we need, really, because I really, really understood fully that they are the ones protecting this forest right now. If they disappear, the forest disappear. If the forest disappear, we disappear. So it's pretty crucial. It's a very big problem, and I know our campaign is. Some people won't understand really, what are you doing, helping tribes to build, healing houses? What's going on? Some people don't even see the relationship between that and the health of the forest, but there's a direct link there. There's millions of indigenous people in the forest, and they are the only one who care about the forest. Really, they live within the forest and they understand the forest. Also, the way they live, they hunt, they gather, they take, they cut trees sometimes, whatever they do it in respect. And there's never a problem with that. They know, like, for example, if they hunt an animal in a specific area, then they withdraw from that area for a long time, so animals don't feel the trauma of the hunting. So they do everything in consciousness and with respect. Also, when you plant trees in the Amazon forest, it's not enough to just throw seeds. You need to plant seeds by groups of seeds. You need to plant a certain tree that's going to last, hundreds of years and create a lot of oxygen and recycle a lot of carbon and everything. And then you need to plant next to it a tree that's going to repel a repellent that has repellent properties so the bugs wouldn't destroy that tree that's going to generate oxygen. And next to it, you need to plant another tree that has another function. And they know all these things by heart. It's part of their DNA. And they have that knowledge. So helping them will help directly the problem. Also, they have rights. There's limits to their, the patch of forest that goes to that tribe or that tribe. And what big farmers and big corporations and now the Brazilian government is doing is trying to burn these lands so they would have to leave, and then they're free to cut the trees and grow soybeans and cattle and everything. So there's a direct attack on them. I'm in touch with them. I know that they have to wear bulletproof vests, and they're scared, and it's horrible what's happening. They're getting shot at, and there's criminal fires and hit and runs. Some kid died the other day because he was hit by a car in the middle of the forest on these tiny roads. They're waiting, trying to kill them directly. So empowering them, helping them to fight COVID. They're really suffering from COVID too. That's their priority right now, to be healthy and to stand on their legs and to be able to fight. Also, I was very surprised to see how much it helped them spiritually, mentally, to know that the rock scene somewhere in America and Europe and Asia was coming together to bring them. They're incredibly thankful. And frankly, I was a bit surprised when I talked to them. I'm like, there's got to be a bunch of people trying to help you right now. And they said, well, since Sting in the 90s, nobody came to us really. Just a few people doing, taking pictures of documentaries, trying to help how they can, but no real, tangible support. So this operation is, I'm so thankful that I met with these people. It gave me strength to go to all these amazing bands. They all answered immediately positively. Metallica, Mastodon, Deftones. Slash is donating his hat and a guitar, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, a lot of good things, good vibes all around. And these musicians are not suffering from giving these items. Some of them are very precious. For example, Abe, the drummer of Deftones, is donating a snare that he used on their first album, Adrenaline, and he recorded the whole album with that snare. And he just gave it away like that. And for him, it was, it was sort of precious, but it was taking up space in his home, whatever. And he's happy that this snare has this second life. Whoever's going to buy it's going to make a great action for the forest.
What I love so much about this, this project, all that's happening is, we kind of talked a little bit about it before, but there's so many people that say, oh yeah, we need to stop global warming. Oh yes, we need to save the Amazon, but there's never any action towards it. They might throw an Instagram post of awareness, but they don't actually either donate money and invest to see what the issue is, how to fix it on this everyday problem. And it's so refreshing to see, again, right on the ground floor, we are helping these people directly, we're helping the environment directly, and then by helping this, we're continuing the human species, because without the Amazon, there's no us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you see that all around, the ice caps are melting, the oceans are getting empty of fish, there's a big corporation in Japan that's buying the last tunas and trying to make them disappear. So the price of the tuna would go up like gold, and they're storing all these tunas in a gigantic warehouse. They're going to sell it in 50 years, but much, much more money than gold, And so it's all about profit, and it's so cynical. It's such a cynical world. And I would like to ask everybody listening to look at the world with the eyes of a child. I'm sorry. Because that's what we need to do. It's very simple. If children can't understand what we're doing, it means it's wrong. You know what I mean? It has to make sense in the eyes of a child.
Right. And speaking of children, Gen Z, the younger generation, we're a lot more aware of the environment. Do you see this? I mean, obviously, do you resonate with that idea that younger people are becoming more aware of this environmental issue?
of course, unfortunately, they have no choice. They see what's going on, and I was a bit shocked to see that in a lot of countries there's some weird, twisted minds elected president everywhere. There's so many maniacs, at the head of so many important countries. It's a bit, I'm a bit worried, honestly. It's almost as if we don't learn lessons from the past and from history. Um, I say that often as an example, but I have a friend who's an art teacher in a high school. And some of his students don't know if Hitler really existed. They think it's a character in a movie. And I think that's the kind of example that shows that, history gets forgotten. The lessons we learn in time should remain, and we should educate the next generations to, really what matters, and to not replicate uh, um, the mistakes from the past.
What's super fascinating is I was watching a few things about it, and I know that history in particular is one of the subjects in speaking from the American standpoint in American high schools, that there's no guidelines of what to teach, like across the state. So if you live in the northern parts of America, you're taught an entirely different history lesson than in the southern parts. So you're right. People that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. People aren't getting these messages of what happened.
It's crucial. Education is really, really crucial. Sometimes I think that it's not easy to see what's the next smart move to do when there is such an emergency, because some people would argue that instead of how do you say, instead of putting money into solar power or wind power, maybe this money should go towards education, all of it, to educate the next generation so well that then they will find even better ideas. But it's hard. There's an emergency, so now we have to try to go straight to the point, and really save and protect and preserve what's left, instead of investing in I find space exploration fascinating, really, but how long is it going to take to recreate an atmosphere on Mars, for example? Millions of years. I don't know, it seems, but we have it all here, and I think there's really enough space for everybody. That's another thing that I watch. This show called Vsauce on YouTube. Very smart dude explaining a lot of stuff. And there's one episode where he explains that the whole population of Earth put together, if we were all standing next to each other, would fit in the area, in an area like LA, Los Angeles, greater LA, Uh, so we're pretty much like fleas on someone's head. We're all over, but if you gather us, it's just like a little tiny dot, and so it shows that. And it's true that when you take a plane or a train, what you see mostly in France or in America or all over the world, we tour all over the world, and I see so much space. It's all used for it's all exploited for things, but there is space. It's just a matter of how we consume, how we grow food, how we occupy the space, and the resources, how we use the resources. We should leave fossil fuels, alone, and we should, move on and use the wind and everything like that.
Hmm. And even just like resources as a whole, you look at 60 years ago, people would have maybe one thing of meat, and it would last the entire week. They would have one car, and they would drive that car everywhere. Now every member of the family has a car. People eat meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and so just we're exhausting our resources. And
it's called planned obsolescence, and it's serving the economy. So let's think about the word economy. Do you know the origin of that word, economy? Because I'm French, I know that économiser means to save. When you economize, you save money, you spend wisely. So yeah, it's building a fridge that will last 3 or 4 generations, instead of building a fridge that has a faulty part that's going to break in 3 years, to make sure that you're going to buy another fridge. So a healthy economy in our modern societies is spending a lot, and often, you know, and it's the system of credit in America. The more you buy, the more banks are rewarding you and stuff like that. Um, it's all upside down. It's all upside down, and the money, you know, is growing, and the gold is staying where it is. So eventually, it's going to collapse. The whole economy is completely upside down. The word economy is upside down too. So we need to rethink all of that. It's such a big task, but we'll see. I don't know what the future is made of.
Hmm. And again, that is super interesting. Thank you again so much for diving into that. I know a lot of our listeners are, heavy metal heads and they might not know a lot about the environment. Some of them might know a ton about it, but either
Yeah.
way, just going over this and just talking with you today is so awesome and just so helpful.
Thank you so much. I think rock was born from rebellion, just like blues was born from the suffering, and with slavery, and it became rap and hip hop. All these musics, they're born from from pain, or the idea of rebellion. And I think the most important thing to worry about right now is the health of the planet. If we lose our planet, if we lose the fragile balance that is already highly disturbed, then we're going to lose everything. So there's not going to be anything to talk about if we lose that. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I think rock and rebellion, they go well together. And our message is a bit. Some people say, "Oh, you're a bunch of hippies, tree huggers." Sure, call us what you want, but when I scream in the microphone, I don't feel like talking about something else. That the things that matter.
Right. And then two more quick questions. One, where can people donate to Project Amazonia? And then two, you've mentioned you're a vegan. What is your favorite vegan dish to prepare?
Um, I replaced butter with vegetable butter. It's called margarine in French, and there's a lot of things I was eating before that I'm able to replace with vegan products. I even eat hamburgers and hot dogs and pizza, and I make all of that vegan. And it's a little more, maybe a little more work, because you can't just order blindly, and you have to start or maybe you can order blindly to a vegan restaurant. Actually, it's getting more and more common. I live in New York City. It's never a problem to order vegan stuff, but I understand when you're in a little village, it's hard. I love all of it. It's hard to yeah, actually, I know it's avocado. Avocado is my religion. Every morning I eat an avocado. If there's no avocado, I'm like, I need my avocado. It's full of healthy fat and a bit of olive oil and salt and pepper on a toast. It's incredible with a juicy tomato.
Very nice. And then
And
again,
if you want to donate for the Amazon forest, every donation is not just money, but it's also showing up. You know, and your name it enters this big raffle, and you can win a guitar, you can win a painting, you can win a vinyl, a signed vinyl by the band, and other cool stuff, merch. You can go on our website, gojiramusic.com, and there's a link there that's gonna bring you to Propeller, who's an awesome platform for auctions and donations. So our website, very simple. It's all explained in there, and it's beautiful. If you do that, I'll be thankful for life.
Awesome. And again, I know we mentioned it multiple times, but Fortitude out April 30th. You guys have a ton of really awesome vinyl pre-orders, a lot of CDs, a lot of cool merch items. I guess my last question for you right now is, what other stuff do you guys have planned? Is there going to be like a live stream at some point, maybe? Or are you guys any other things? I know in 2020 and 2021 with the pandemic, it's tough to do a lot of cool promotion items with the state of the world right now. We can't have like
Yeah.
live stuff, but is there anything else planned?
Well, right now we're releasing the album, so that's the really big thing for us. But yeah, after that, we're talking about doing a live stream. We're trying to find the right setup, something that is artistically interesting. We don't want to just be on a stage with lights and sound and nobody in the venue. It freaks me out to see that. I don't like empty venues. It's the weirdest thing. So we're trying to find a good format for that, and we take our time. But yeah, there's going to be some like that coming up soon, probably. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for talking with us today. We really appreciate it. The listeners have been loving the 3 new singles and the 4th new single now that it's out as of today.
Yeah.
Super, super great stuff. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you so much, guys. That was great.